computer. All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Ismira Yusufova. I'm the chair of the Mindfulness group. Welcome. I see a lot of first-timers. We will definitely go around and do introductions, but I want to be mindful of Dr. Justice's time, and I want her to start. We have a wonderful presenter tonight talking about mindfulness in VR. Dr. Stephanie Justice and I were in the NLN Sim Leaders program, and we were just recently together at the IMSH conference, and I finally recruited her to come here. So I'm very proud of myself, and I'm very happy she's here with us. Dr. Stephanie Justice, she's an assistant clinical professor at the Ohio State University College of Nursing. She worked in the Sim Lab for several years and served as the graduate Sim coordinator. She helped plan and currently works in the XR lab. She teaches courses and is part of the Center for Health Innovation and Leadership. She is a certified simulationist. She does virtual reality education and moulage artist. Oh, I didn't know that about you.
Oh yeah, I love moulage.
Yes. And she volunteers with the Centers for American Medical Association and has taught simulation twice in Santa Roca I can't even read, in Honduras. And she co-chairs the Higher Education for XR, and she participates in the NLN Sim Leaders in 22, like I mentioned. And Dr. Justice is working on several grants, including the Distributing Nursing Education, Disrupting Nursing Education Using Extended Reality, Artificial Intelligence, and Machine Learning grants sponsored by the American Nurses Foundation, Reimagining Nursing Initiatives. So we're very happy you're here, and please talk to us about being mindful in the VR. Two of my favorite subjects combined in one.
Okay, so it's nice to see everybody. I'm pretty excited to be here. When I was at IMSH and we were talking, I was like, I can present on, this in VR because I've been to I don't know how many mindfulness and meditation classes, and every time I go to one, I'm like, I'm going to do this, and I am like the dog from Up, right? Where it's like squirrel, and I totally lose focus. I cannot meditate sitting in my house. And even if no one's home and the dogs are outside, I still just don't have that focus. And when we got the A&F grant, so beforehand I was playing around in VR and I found, I'll show you guys actually my favorite one. I found a meditation app and I can actually stay focused. And it's like the coolest thing ever because it's so immersive and it puts me actually in that spot. And I found that is like probably the coolest thing I think ever because it's really helped me to do my relaxed breathing and to sit and to focus. I'm not the best at doing it all the time, but I'm a work in progress. But I absolutely love the idea of using VR in this way. So what I'm going to do is I did a really short, just making sure my headset didn't go to sleep. I did a really short little presentation here, just because I think it's kind of fun when you start looking up mindfulness and things. So this is me. The sort of funny thing is our center, we're called chill, and we say you have to be laid back to work in it. So if you're not chill, you can't be part of our center. So it's kind of a fun group here at OSU. But I did a search today. I thought this would be fun. I did a quick Google search on mindfulness, and I got over 1 billion results that popped up within like 0.2 of a second. They had everything from definitions and 5 steps, 7 cores of mindfulness. How do I practice? And just kept going and go. I obviously did not look at 1 billion of them, but I thought that was really fascinating to have 1 billion things pop up that fast. Like, dang, that's crazy. You guys know this. I mean, if you're in the mindfulness group, you know what it is, right? It's paying attention, it's being present, it's observing your thoughts and feelings, and you're not judging yourself. And that was from an article in Psychology Today that I thought was sort of fun. But in VR, I have an Oculus Quest 2 headset, which is one of the cheaper ones. It's actually the older version of it. The Quest 3 is out, and I have one down there, but I just always pull out my 2 because I have everything loaded in it. And when I do a search in the Meta store for mindfulness, I was actually pretty impressed because it actually came up with 18 different ones. Some of them cost money, like Nature Treks. VR, which is pretty cool. I've done that in a different headset, but that one's $10. There are ones that are free. These are all the ones you pay for. Trip down in the bottom corner, that's actually my favorite one. I don't know, has anybody in here been in a VR headset? I see some hands. I see some no's. I see Rose shaking her head. I'm trying to scroll through. You guys are tiny on my screen, but I see some yeses. All right, cool. Has anybody tried mindfulness in a VR headset? I have a yes from David. I don't know if I have any other ones, but I know can see you. Oh, I have another yes. I see another thumbs up, and that was from Aaron. Cool. If you haven't done it, there's all kinds of different things you can do. Um, Personally, I love VR because it puts you in a space. Be that some sort of training where you're taking care of a patient, because we use that with our students, or if you're going in to relax. Now, Supernatural over here is kind of an interesting one because that is an exercise app. So you do everything from like a boxing, like they're hitting these balls that come at you, and it gets you doing like hooks and things like that, but also has a meditation feature. Like I said, Trip is my favorite. You can buy it. Some of these you could do like monthly, some of them you can do a lifetime. There's a million different ways to kind of purchase them. I tried Liminal, this last one down here, and it was free, and I was really excited. And it kind of reminded me of being at a circus. Like it was not relaxing. The games were fun. It was sort of like if you've been to Disney and you've done the Toy Story ride, where you go through and you're in the arcade. I was shooting balloons with my head, um, which was fun, but it wasn't exactly mindful to me. The next one I think I'm going to be trying, I want to see Inner World and Noda. I don't know why, but those just seem kind of neat. They're probably gonna be the next two that I download because I never know, until I get in there, kind of what it's gonna be like. So when I did all of this, make sure he's not falling asleep on me. Nope, he's not asleep. Okay, perfect. Um, oh, there's also these are in the app lab. So these are brand new ones that they might still be kind of working on some of these. The biofeedback breathing meditation, I think, is kind of interesting. That one I want to look into, though, as to who gets my feedback. Like, what are they doing are they collecting my data? So I haven't played in that yet. And I really don't know what flow is. But these are ones I need to play in. I need to check the app store a little bit more often. But like I told you guys, when I get in the headset, to me, it really helps. These are obstacles to mindfulness. And for me, the biggest one is distraction. Um, my husband falls asleep when he tries to meditate. So the sleepiness is a big one for him. But for me, it's really the distraction. Um, and the benefits you get from XR. Oh, I went too fast. I double hit it. Go back. There we go. It can actually increase your positive emotion, restrict the scope of your mind wandering. I think it's because you're so focused on what you're doing. And you can still be disrupted because sometimes like my dog will lick my nose or something, and that's terrifying when you have a headset on because you don't know he's there. But it usually doesn't totally disrupt that mindfulness practice. So like if I hear a sound outside, I can kind of tune it out. And I did find that was the article that I found was the Seabrook et al. And it was really kind of interesting. They did a study, but they didn't have a controlled group, which was kind of disappointing because I think that would have been really neat to see how it worked if you did have another group in there. Where did my thing go? Well, now I have to find obviously it hates me today. There we go. So this is Trip. I'm going to put it on my face in just a second. So for people who haven't been in a headset, there's a couple very important things to tell you before you get in one. And even when I'm in this, you can wear glasses in your headset. You just have to put them on your face a very specific way so that you don't slam the glasses into your face. I usually take mine off because mine are really just for reading. So I'll have my glasses off. They really recommend about 10 to 15 minutes in a headset. A lot of people will get some cyber sickness where they don't feel so good. The most common cyber sickness is going to be things like headache, eye strain, blurry vision. Nausea can be kind of common. I was just talking with a student who she's tried it and she vomits when she gets in it. So obviously she doesn't get in it much because nobody wants to be throwing up. I am up to more you do it, the longer periods of time that you can be in it. And I'm up to about 3 hours. I usually kill 2 battery packs before I have to come out. I don't actually have the symptoms. I just don't have a third battery to pop on the back of it. And I don't like to be tethered. Most of the headaches I see in my students is because they put the straps on so fast, so tight, that they look like they were scuba diving when they come out. And if you put it on that tight, it's not good. It's just a really bad thing for them. So it's kind of funny. Before I hop in the headset, because I'm going to totally like not be able to see anybody. Does anybody have any questions before I pop it on and let you guys actually see it? All right, I'm going to take that as a no. And let me know if you can or can't hear my sounds when I'm in. I should have shared it. I have an extra, like a nicer headset strap so that I don't end up looking like I have a total face sucker on. Kind of reminds me of a horror movie. You can see my hands kind of floating in front of my fingers. Hit resume here. Can you guys hear and see this?
Yes.
Perfect. I can't see you anymore, so now I just feel funny sitting in front of my computer. So this is Trip. This is the one that I really like. They have everything from focus, and this is to sharpen your attention. They have calm for a more calm, peaceful, and they have sleep, which I did this one the other night and it did make me nice and sleepy. I really liked that one. You can even just come in and do your breathing. They have escape, so you can just go and sit somewhere nice and peaceful. And it's actually the first one I want to show you. And the reason why is sometimes when I get into the focus and it starts moving, some people get a little woozy even watching it on the screen. And I like to warn you of that beforehand, just because I think it's kind of important to know which one I really like. We will go to Spain. So with this one, we're going to be sitting just on the ocean, and we're going to get to relax and just kind of see what it looks like. So obviously I am in Ohio, sitting at home, but what I get to hear and see now is going to be the ocean. And what's really cool if you've never been in VR is that it's not just in front of me. It is a completely 360. I'm trying not to. And I can look at the sand. That blue circle, if you guys see a blue circle, that's actually my boundary so that I don't run into that. And so in this one, I can just sit and relax and just kind of and enjoy my view. And the beach is one of my absolute favorite places to be. Now in this one, I can't walk around. So no matter what I do with my triggers, I can't like walk down the beach to where that other person is. But you can sit, you can relax. It's a little bit warmer in here. I have a little lamp on me. I might be able to pretend the sun is hitting me. And in Trip, you can pick a bunch of different types of places to go to, different settings. Go back. Maybe. I hate it when I do this because sometimes I hit the wrong button and don't go back to the main part. Oh, come on.
Stephanie, not I don't think everybody's been in the headset. Do you want to explain like how you feel in it or like your point of view? Because we're only seeing the screen, right? We're not really immersed in the sound or anything like
Oh, you
that.
guys aren't getting my sound?
No, we hear the sound, but I'm saying for you having the headset, the experience is a little different.
Oh, for sure. So when I'm in this one, I don't usually come and sit on the beach, in all honesty. What I usually do, and I don't know why it won't bring me up my home menu, it's being difficult, is I like to go back. I'm just going to go back in. I like to go and do the more interactive, where it actually talks me through my meditation. When I sit on this one at the beach, though, I like to think about my favorite places, which is there's a couple beaches that are just for me relaxing and kind of calming. So that is one I would probably use when I'm The ones that I personally feel like I need, especially being kind of a novice, as far as the whole mindfulness and meditation, I use the guided meditation. And what you feel in here, it's like I can't see anything around me. I can't see my computer screen. Honestly, I have no idea if my front or back is to you. So I have no idea. I can't see anybody. I know that I'm in my office with the door closed, and I know it's bright pink, but I can't see anything. So when I'm in here, I'm very focused because even on this main screen, I can still take a look around at the universe. I just think it's really cool. Sometimes, this is funny, I just like to kind of sit there because I like it. I don't know where you guys are.
You're facing us now.
Am I facing you now? Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to take you guys into focus, and I want to show you that they do a daily focus, which to me is really cool because it changes and it's always a little bit different. And I like the ooh, right in the face. You can build your own, which is also nice. But I typically do their daily one because what it does is it will change every day, gives me a different area to go into. And I have mine on medium amount of guidance. So you can have a lot more guidance, which I did when I was new. And you'll notice that she's going to talk to me and will take me through my meditation. In focus, we're going to play a game and we're going to do some breathing. Okay, so this one is finding motivation. Some days I need. Would you like me to put it on more voice guidance?
Sure, yes, good.
And when I'm in here, I don't need my hands anymore. So I can actually take my little controllers off, which is kind of nice as it's going to load my trip. The only bad thing about Trip is you do need an internet connection. As you can tell, it has to load the trip up, and sometimes it takes a while. Oh, I forgot, I do need this. They want to know how I'm feeling. It's pretty good. What this is going to do is it's going to track your mood before and after when you do every trip. And it looks for
Welcome to Trip.
And tell me if I move too fast when I start spinning, because I want you guys to kind of see the whole nebula, everything that I'm looking at. I just think this one's cool.
That is fascinating.
They also constantly create new environments. And so you never quite know what you're going to be in the daily trip, which I think is really fun. I know I started with this.
Today's reflection will help you find motivation throughout your day. Breathe with me.
What's really cool about the breath is when you move, it goes with you.
Time your breath with the flow. Connect with your breath, slowly breathing in and out. When you feel relaxed, look into the light, and we'll let the next phase of our journey begin.
So what's nice with this is I'm supposed to look at the light when I feel ready, but if I still want to do a few more breaths, it will let me sit here and kind of keep breathing. And each one of the focus is kind of set up the same way, where you start with your breathing.
As you float through this space, feel the tension leaving your body.
And then you transition to another area, which is still all around you.
Now let's play a short game designed to focus your attention and generate a feeling of flow.
So these little things I control by moving my head. There is a range, like I can
Notice how you control the flight of the figures in front of you.
I can only move them so far, which is probably good because I'm going to have to touch some spinning coins.
Use the movement of your head to touch the spinning coins. We'll move on when you have finished this task.
On some of the ones that you have, you'll do,
Now let's add some obstacles for you to avoid.
sometimes they start with the obstacles.
Again, find and touch the spinning coins placed in between the obstacles to move to the next level. Your goal is to find rewards in the gaps.
It's a very low stakes game, as if I hit an obstacle, it just makes a weird noise.
I'm about to fall asleep. Anybody else? Very relaxed.
It is very relaxing, isn't it?
If you can learn to play in a calm and relaxed state, you can face many of life's challenges in a calm and relaxed state. The spaces between the objects are like the space between thoughts. In the gaps, you find peace.
This is the place where most
If your mind wanders, bring your attention to the experience unfolding around you.
people I know
When
find.
we have gratitude and excitement about the things that are working well in our lives, we can find the motivation to carry out the tasks before us throughout our day. When we feel distracted or disappointed, we can change our state of mind immediately by focusing on gratitude for the present, which can lead us toward excitement for the future. Through this practice, we can find motivation that lasts throughout our day and carries us through our lives.
In Trip, you can customize with your own pictures. As you can see, I have my husband, and that's our puppy, who's now 2, my son and nephew when they were really little. And then I put in just some pictures that I've taken different places that I've been. Like my toucan, that was in Honduras, and this is at the beach in Maryland, and my favorite winery in North Carolina. That one is North Carolina as well, in the bottom of the Grand Canyon. So just pictures that I've taken and it will bring up like your own memories. So you can customize and have them kind of float around you.
That's very, very cool.
Let us close with a slow, tranquil breath in 3 parts. Breathe in, hold it, exhale slowly. As you return to your day, remember to be grateful and excited about your life's progress, and breathe with motivation and confidence for the future.
You see my controller showing up weird because it was turned off. I'm going to ask you again to rate how you're feeling. And if you have a change, it will tell you how much that your mood changed and if you were more focused or more calm or whichever one that you pick. It does also track your weekly goal. And so I wasn't in yesterday. This is my first one for this week. The recommendation looks like it's about 3 times a week, which I think is cool. You always have these little tidbits, things like feel good about showing up for yourself. If you make one in the builder, you can also do things like create your own. You can make a male voice or a female voice, depending on which one you like. You can do more talk, less talk. I can tell you how many minutes are in it. Most of the trips are about 10 minutes, which is actually pretty easy to kind of work into your schedule. And they'll have like different types. This one's an 8-minute breathing exercise. This one is another 8-minute. I've not tried those yet. If you guys would like, I can show it to you. We can explore it together, or I can show you something else in here. What do you guys think?
Please feel free to unmute yourselves. And
So did I put everybody to sleep with that one? I think it's very calm.
definitely extremely relaxed.
You can imagine what it's like when you actually have it on your face.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna download.
Incredibly immersive. They do have a free demo with Trip, which I think I did for 3 weeks, the demo, like every day or every other day before I purchased it. Because I wanted to be sure I actually was going to use it and like it.
Yeah. I like the pictures that you can customize it to your own memories and liking.
Yeah, they even have an app on your phone. So you can go in and you can pull up mindfulness and breathing as a companion on your cell phone so that you can bring this with you. Because obviously, like, I can't do this everywhere. I mean, I might, but like I can't be doing this everywhere. And so it's really kind of nice to have that as another option.
Yeah. Anybody, you guys have questions? We have a few members. Please feel free, unmute yourselves and ask Stephanie any questions you may have. Unless you all fell asleep.
I know. Like, I think I put them all to sleep.
All the info the trip gets is just the pre and post survey, right?
Yeah. We actually are looking at doing a study with our nurse managers at the hospital using Trip to see if we can reduce some of their stress and burnout.
We're doing one with exonerated prisoners right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool so far. We're only using the demo at this point. It's a usability study for the first.
That's cool. Have you contacted Trip? They do have opportunities for collaboration and research.
Yeah, they said they'll get involved in stage 2.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm waiting to hear back from them. I emailed them. It's Friday, I think. So I went to an XR conference a couple years ago and talked to them before they got really popular. They were still pretty cheap. I think I got like a lifetime membership a few years ago for like $50. It's not quite that cheap anymore.
Oh,
But
Stephanie,
it is a really
out of
cool
your
app.
headset?
Hmm?
Stephanie, you want to come out of your headset for a few minutes while we
Sure.
competition?
This is actually a good time for me to introduce myself. Hi, I'm David. I work on a VR wellness app, and I am looking for collaborators. So
Ah,
yes, I
hey,
will pop my information into the chat.
absolutely. Because we are really early in our design of our study that we're looking at because we think it, me personally, I think this, if you had it for nurses at the hospital, right? So that when they are completely having one of those days that, I mean, everyone who works in healthcare has had one of those days. But what if they could go into a quiet room for 10 minutes and pop on a meditation or sit on the beach for 10 minutes? What would that do for their mindfulness, for their well-being, just to have that as an opportunity? And that's actually my goal because I think that's what we need to be doing as a great way to just help people. I'm just like, this is such a neat opportunity. So we thought the people that I'm working with, their background is in management and nursing. So they're a couple of our PhDs at the university. And they want to start with the nurse managers because they're not as studied. And we figure if we can do that, we might get the trickle down going out onto the unit, right? Convince the people who control the clock, basically, and try to get that out to more people. So for me, that's huge. Trying to get people where we can share and be, I don't know, I just think of my first nursing job, how much better I would have felt if I could have had that break. It was rough. We had a lot of days that were bad. And I feel like that's so, even since the pandemic, I think it's even gotten worse. Um, and so I'm very excited about some of these opportunities for mindfulness. Because if you told me I could sit in a room for 10 minutes, I'm going to sit in the room and not meditate. I already know that it's not going to give me that relief because I'm not good at it. And I feel like this, I can kind of focus. But I'd love to see yours. So I'm very excited. I've copied your information, especially because we haven't even written it yet. So that would be good because I have another meeting coming up actually tomorrow with one of my DNP or my PhDers. So be meeting with Jackie in the morning. So that's all. This is good timing.
I was super happy to see your presentation since I'm also very interested in nurse training. And there are interesting things like studies for athletic performance where,
Yeah.
okay, so you're familiar with those.
Yeah, and they're also using it in things like PT and OT. There's VR programs. They even have like sensors on the legs. So like I've played pinball by kicking the ball with my feet in a demo. There's one I've done where like for upper body, we were rowing a canoe. And oh my gosh, man, that's some good repetition, right? To be doing that in VR. But instead of just doing physical therapy, you're playing a game and you're trying to beat the clock. And I'm one of those people like, I want to win, right? So I'm going to keep going, but it's more fun. And in our grant that we have currently, the A&F grant, we are putting our students in, we have about 700 pre-licensure students that are in VR every semester. And we have them doing soft skill training. We have them doing patient care scenarios. And we're looking into, I'm trying to get them into some of the games because that's a really good stress reliever. Personally, I play Beat Saber. I'm pretty darn good at it, if I do say so myself. Um, and I just think that's a very fun, like, way to be up and moving and doing something that's mindless, but I play music I like and I'm smacking around, cutting the blocks. And to me, it's just very fun. I'm trying to organize a Beat Saber tournament between Ohio State and Michigan. So I've been talking with Deb Lee up there since, they're our big rival and well, we want to win. Since we lost at football, we really, really want to win. So, we're trying to come up with some of these things. And I think it's something we could do. There's so much more we could do with it. And for people, if you're not familiar with the headset, the Quest headsets are probably the cheapest ones out there. The Pico Neo 3 is a really neat headset, but it's made by the people that make TikTok. So it would never pass our security at Ohio State. We'd never be able to get it. The I've been in everything. We have some of, what do we have? I didn't really like it. The HTC Vives. I had so much trouble charging my controllers. Like they would never sync or only one would charge. And so that drove me crazy, but it's very crisp, very clear in that headset. And then I've been in some of the tethered ones, like the Vario headset. I don't know if anybody's been in that thing. That one costs way more than I will ever spend. But it's a really neat headset. I got to sit inside a Bentley in that one. That's what I did. I got to get inside a Bentley. I mean, it really looked like the car. I wanted to sit down, even though I was standing. So the sense of presence.
Was the Bentley in Venice? I think I did the same thing.
I think it was, yeah. Yeah, and I went into an art museum and like you could see the brush strokes on that one. It's that detailed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty amazing. But it's also, you know, backed and running off of a gaming computer and not the little processor that's in the, you know, Quest 2. But found for what I do, the Quest 2 is great. Which is probably what there's two reasons I haven't taken the 3 out of the box yet that I brought home from work. One is I don't have anything hardly loaded on it, just my basic ones. But I also don't have the silicone face shield in it. Right now it's only foam. And this is a shared one for work. And I'm like, I wear makeup because, you know, I'm a girl and I wear a lot of makeup. And I don't want to like get it all gross in the foam. So until I get a silicone or put something on my face or wash my face, I'm probably not going to get into that one yet. You know, because when we pass these around, that's another thing you have to think about is cleaning and disinfecting to make sure that you're not spreading anything, especially in the hospital, you know, because we're around some pretty nasty stuff.
The
So
3 is really amazing though. Even just the hand tracking demo, it's called First Hand. It takes you through this series of quests. It's so well designed, it's out of this world.
yeah, I have so much fun. We found too with our students, one of the big mistakes we made with VR was we didn't give them a formal orientation to start with. You know, we kind of thought, oh, they're 20, they'll pick this up so fast, you know, because I'm old and I picked it up pretty quick. We were really wrong. Like they didn't know how to work the controllers and they hated it because they didn't know how to set it up and they felt weird in it. And we started doing a more formal orientation. And that's like a very key if you're going to put someone in the headset, you know, because nobody does anything with these, right? This is not how we ever do anything. Nobody walks around going, think I picked that up. Oh, that's how I talk to people, you know, or something weird like that. And so we found that once we started orienting people that we had so much better outcomes. Oh, and David, I see you do your daily exercise in Beat Saber. I have to ask, what level do you play on?
Mostly Expert Plus, but there are some songs I have not gotten yet.
Yeah, there's some I can't get there. I'm between expert. Plus. It depends on when I do it. So, but it's so fun. Yeah, so I don't know. What do you guys want to see something else? I don't know how long this meeting goes, or if you guys have questions. I'm just here to play and have fun and show you guys what my headset does.
We have 20 minutes if anybody wants to come and introduce themselves. I see a lot of new faces. I really appreciate you being here. I hope you come back, even though we don't have a VR for next meeting, but we still always have mindfulness here. And if anybody wants to be a presenter, I would love to connect with you. And I could also put maybe my LinkedIn here, so you can message me, see if you want to present on simulation, mindfulness, any combination of simulation, mindfulness, technology. We welcome it all. Anybody wants to introduce themselves formally, please go ahead while I retrieve my LinkedIn.
Well, I guess I'm probably one of the new ones, right? So I'm Aaron. I work at Torrey University, California. I manage the Immersive Technology Learning Center and also the video production service. And I did work in simulation over here. Started the simulation center, and before that was in clinical skills, like the simulated patients.
Welcome. Nice meeting you.
I'll introduce myself, even though I'm not. I've been with the group for a while. So My name is Scott Cook. I am a simulation specialist for the University of Maine at Augusta, and that's Augusta, Maine, not Augusta, Georgia. Usually I say Augusta and everybody thinks I'm in Georgia, so I'm at the other end of the East Coast. And so I kind of do a little bit of everything. I work with faculty development, teaching how to use simulation in the classrooms. I'm connected primarily to a nursing program, so how to use simulation in classroom and labs. We have external sites where I work with part-time faculty as well. And then I bridge the other side as well. I do their operations support and work with our IT group.
Thank you, Scott. Anybody else want to introduce themselves?
I'll go. My name is Lisa Puccio. I am another new face here. I am from Dartmouth Health in New Hampshire. I'm one of the nurse educators in our simulation-based education and research department. I work a lot with everyone from our system and Dartmouth College, their medical students and residents, as well as nursing students across the whole system to develop simulations.
Wonderful, welcome.
Thank you.
If you're all sharing our LinkedIn's in the chat, feel free to drop it. We'll connect with each other. Our group meets every 3 months or so, but if we have more presenters and anybody is interested, did I say that before? If you want to present, let me say that again for the record. If you have friends, please send them my way as well. It doesn't have to be nursing. It doesn't have to be specific to simulation. It just could be a mindfulness incorporated into a healthcare program or any other program. We had people from many, paths and many walks of life. What else did I want to say? Scott, help me out. You're usually here.
I can introduce myself.
Go ahead. Thank you so much.
So I'll be presenting in May, actually, to the group. And I come from the affinity group in a much different angle. And I've been a standardized patient for 8-9 years here in Pennsylvania, just west of Philadelphia. And so I am a congenital hemipelvectomy amputee. And we, with Villanova, wrote the first and only postpartum pregnancy obstetrics simulation in the country. So I was born without my right hip or leg. And my husband and I have gone on to, well, me more than my husband, have gone on to having 3 children without a right hip or right leg. And I've been part of 2 medical journal studies during those pregnancies and since those pregnancies. I see a gap in services in the healthcare industry, in how they talk to, think about, and care for women with disabilities. The NIH actually had put out a post for a grant study for this. And I am part of SSH and have been working on the the dictionary and upgrading it with Myrna and Dr. Jen Arnold, who's one of the top pediatrician doctors in Boston at the Peds Hospital. Not sure if you guys know who Dr. Jen Arnold is. She's part of SSH. She's a little person. She was on TLC for a little while. She had a TV show of her own, but she's actually one of my coworkers' best friends here in Pennsylvania. She was in Vajena's wedding, and Vajena is also a little person. So small world, even smaller for me. So Vijana and I have known each other quite a few years as well. So Dr. Jen Arnold and I bumped into each other at the conference in San Diego. And now we've been working on the dictionary, trying to implement more DEI knowledgeable acronyms and terminology, thinking that the learners that use the dictionary need to learn about these first person, invisible disabilities, first person language, identity first language, and what those mean, because if they don't know what the language is and these terms, they're never going to use them. So we have had a deadline of April 1st. So we overhauled just a little bit some of these terms and implemented some of these terms into the dictionary this time around. That was our little piece of the world that we had tried to implement. So yay! And Scott, I will be up. My teenager has talked us into driving up 8 hours to Maine to see your eclipse of the moon on the 8th. And
Yes.
we're going to be house hunting as we are going to be moving to Maine, hopefully in the next year.
Oh, great.
Yep. West or north of Portland, and visiting colleges up there as well around that time. So
Oh,
when in Rome, when in Maine, we're going to do house hunting and eclipse watching. So
I actually, even though I work in Augusta, I live just west of Portland. So I'm about 15 minutes west of Portland.
okay,
So
yeah, we're looking at Gorham and Wyndham area.
that's where I'm in Gorham.
Yep, yep. Picked out
So-
3 houses to look at this time. So
and yes, the eclipse is becoming a big thing. There's actually a lot of schools that are canceling. Yeah, well, they're canceling or they're restructuring that day with around the eclipse. So, oh yes, it's becoming quite a big deal.
It
So,
is. So
yeah.
I will be there. So that's my
Wonderful.
info.
Well,
So,
welcome early if you get the Maine into Gorham.
yep, we will be there. Thank you.
Good.
I was gonna say, Shelley, one thing that I think is really neat with the VR is it's easier to add in more DEI, because you can create different disabilities, different race, different ethnicities, different sexuality, different genders in a much easier way. And I'm starting to see that more in some of the simulations. And I think it's great because I feel like that misses the mark a lot of times with the mannequins.
So one thing I had tried to do at SSH's conference is talk to a few of the bigger companies or even 1 or 2 of the smaller companies to try and do one of 2 things. Either help them get me to write simulations and bake those disability DEI stories into the simulations that they write and sell, or my bigger dream in the company that I created a couple of years ago called Inclusive Consulting was to take my friends and colleagues because transportation is the biggest problem for persons with disabilities, and get them to have a VR headset at home and have the universities have a VR headset at their universities and connect them, that they could take their knowledge at home and have the learners at the universities and connect them, and that the person with a disability has all that knowledge and that they could be the voice over in that virtual world together and earn a paycheck and have value. And the experts in the medical field and the expert with a disability could connect. So I keep, and nobody from SSH had called me back, and I'm still going to keep beating that drum until I find the right person to listen, because I really see the disconnect. Because even doctors that have been doing this work, even in pediatrics and stuff, they've never heard what a hemipelvectomy amputee is. Some of the best doctors in the world have never heard of what a hemipelvectomy is. And I tell them, and they talk at me like they're the only professional in the room. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you, you're not the only professional in the room. You need to just work with the patient. So, yeah. So I'm just going to keep trying until it's heard, because it's really, you guys brought out the first mannequin with Down syndrome just last year, so it's becoming a thing, and it's just going to keep becoming a thing. So I'm going to just keep talking until we're heard. So.
Did you talk to Kelly Bryant at all?
What?
Did you talk to Kelly Bryant at all?
She is on the SSH committee the DEI committee there were 2 spots open, and I got one of the spots. So I was very blessed with that. So yeah, so I will in time. Actually, I was the editor and producer for the Sim Cafe podcast that is still going, and I do all the voiceover work for that as well, and through Deb Tauber. Yeah, so I'm the voiceover work that you hear for all the commercials and the intro and the outro, and Scott's shaking his head, so that's my voice. I have a bachelor degree in film and television. So I did Babe in the Big Blue House, Babe the Pig. I did It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I did a lot of commercials. I did Hack, the TV show. I did a couple of $1 million independent films. I did Sprout TV when it came. It was a children's show when it came from England. So, and then kids took over and I couldn't live that lifestyle anymore. So I parlayed to social work and simulation and things like that. So, yeah.
So if you
Uh,
drop your email in the chat, I have a potential VR company for you.
Oh, okay. And I can put my LinkedIn thing there. David, what did you want to say?
Oh, I care about accessibility quite a bit.
Okay.
I just started my startup after leaving Google. And when I was at Google, I did work in the accessibility team briefly. And yeah, these things are important.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, yeah.
They are.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off Dr. Justice's comment, like I use one of the VR companies, and it's so easy to literally switch off the patients, make them from a different background, different gender, give them different hair color, put the disability on them. So it is so much better to be able to do that and to bring diverse patients for our students. I really appreciate that about being in the VR instead of hiring different SPs, because you cannot always get what you're looking for. So, your pool is not always that diverse, but having VR really allows you to, give the experience to the learners.
One thing I was interested in doing was persons that have had a stroke, or persons that were nonverbal autistic, or even persons that were LGBTQ that identified a different way than in the way they were born. I wanted to be able to give them a voice that they chose. And I had talked to a company a year or two ago, and then they ghosted me. But maybe even have just a talk bubble that they could type out and create a voice in a way that made them reflect who they felt that they were, or give them a voice if they were nonverbal. Because the person was saying, well, this is all about verbal. I'm like, well, what if somebody's a nonverbal autistic? Or what if I feel like my voice should be a 72-year-old Scottish guy? And here I am, this white woman from Pennsylvania, but that's not how I identify. So, I just wanted I wanted VR companies to think more outside the box. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. It's a really great point. And I think we are really moving towards that. I see so much on DEI. Also, ASPE has a beautiful committee on diversity and inclusion. I used to be a part of it for a little while. So I feel like all the simulation companies and all the companies in general are understanding and realizing how important it is to, to really talk about diversity and give those opportunities to students. Yeah, go ahead.
I just put an article in the chat. This is an article, I did part of the SSH articles of influence the past couple of years, and this was an article that actually came up in one of the reviews that I had to do. And one of the things that I've always been big on is DEI and simulation, and I think we don't do a great job. I think a lot of the vendors have said, well, here's a different colored skin, or here's a patient that looks different, so now you're doing diversity, which you're really not, because I always say you're missing the voice, and you're missing I'm not even sure if it's a term, but like the cultural fidelity, or the correct verbiage that various people may use. So this particular article, when I read it, if you read it, it talks a lot about standardized patients, but it talks about when you're using a standardized patient, or developing a sim, to actually use folks that understand what you're trying to develop, so you can have the voice done correctly. And how I always explain this to people is, I cannot be a female from a different culture. There is no way I can do that. Even my voice, there's no way I can do it. Just last week, a week before last, we were doing a pediatric sim, and I was trying to be 8-year-old female, and you just can't do it. And I think is one of the things that simulation needs to grow, is that particular area, is not just a standardized patient, but make sure the voices are correct, and make sure the whole, whether it's a sim or standardized, but no matter what it is, but make sure culturally it's correct, or I think you can actually make things worse rather than better while you're trying to address DEI. So that's one of the big things that I've been very interested in. And so that's why I'm going to share this article, because it's really good about talking about having the correct voice and having the correct people in the development.
Thank you so much, Scott. I know I worked briefly for University of Minnesota as an SP, and they do have requirements. Like, for example, you have to be identified, as LGBT to be an SP for that specific simulation. You cannot just, sign up. So I think a lot of schools are also putting that in place as well. Well, we're at the top of the hour. Anybody else would like to share anything? This was a great conversation, and thank you, Stephanie, for your presentation. We had fun. I am super relaxed. I think I'm gonna go to sleep. But I really appreciate you coming and sharing your knowledge and your expertise and your the fun you have sharing
I
it.
do have fun.
And I look forward to welcoming all of you back to our next meeting. I want to say maybe in about 3 months or so, maybe June or so. Right, Scott? What do you think? We aim for June. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. Unless people come up with something else that we can do sooner.
Again, I'm very open to different type of presentations, to having different presenters from different backgrounds. So if you feel like coming and chatting with us for half hour or so, just, connect and send me a message on LinkedIn, or we can connect on SSH Connect website. Whichever way, I'm very responsive. But thank you so much and have a great evening, everybody. See you next time.